Indefinite strike. Peter Obi fires back at Minister of Works Umahi. Charley boy raises alarm over alleged attempt by Tinubu's government to arrest Peter Obi. Vice President Shettima vows no favoritism in fighting corruption. Details now. The world news begins with the Nigerian police arresting the alleged mastermind behind the violent assault on the Abuja-Kaduna passenger train, which occurred in March 2022. The arrested suspect was identified as Ibrahim Abdullahi, also known as Mandi. The development was announced during a press briefing in Kaduna on Thursday by the Force Public Relations Officer ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi. He informed the press that the arrest marks a significant breakthrough in the investigation into the incidents. Adejobi also disclosed that Mandi participated in the abduction of students from Greenfield University in 2021. The police said that 48 AK-47 rifles were seized during Mandi's arrest, and efforts are underway to identify his sponsor and supply of weapons. We'll bring you more details as this information develops. Meanwhile, the Defense Headquarters has alleged errors in the drone strikes on the Tudunbiri community in Kaduna State, which resulted in the death of numerous innocent citizens. VOP News gathered that the Director of Defense Information, Major General Edward Buba, disclosed this information during a media briefing today. He said that investigations had been completed and the strikes were deemed a case of mistaken identity. Recall that the drone strikes occurred on December 3, 2023 and claimed the lives of several non-combatants in Tudunbiri village located in the Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. The spokesperson for DHQ mentioned that the individuals responsible for the incident would be subjected to a military court-martial. While he did not provide specific details regarding the disciplinary actions, he confirmed that the two personnel involved will face the consequences of their actions. Months ago, while reacting to the Tudunbiri airstrike, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, stated that terrorists were now mixing up with innocent civilians in communities to evade being apprehended by troops. In a recent development, the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU Abuja chapter has begun an indefinite strike to draw attention to developments bordering the union. The Abuja chapter of ASU announced its decision to embark on the strike today at the end of its congress held at the permanent site of the institution. Sylvanus Ugo, who is the Uni Abuja chairman of the union, disclosed to journalists that the union had resolved to embark on a total and indefinite strike with immediate effect. Elsewhere, Peter Obi, presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, has responded to the allegation that he is inciting Igbos against the federal government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Recall that Minister of Works Dave Umahi, during a compensation event for those impacted by the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road project, alleged that Obi is instigating the Southeast geopolitical zone against the sitting president. However, reacting to this development this morning, the former governor of Anambra State said the allegation is a baseless distraction designed to tarnish his character. He averred that his focus is on fostering constructive dialogue and inclusivity rather than engaging in divisive politics. Obi said he would not reduce himself to the level of those who wallow in ethnic politics. Now, musician and social critic Charley Boy, also known as Area Father One, has raised an alarm over an alleged attempt to arrest the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 elections, Peter Obi, by the Bola Tinubu-led government. According to Charley Boy, the purported arrest is linked to Obi's consistent criticism of Tinubu and his administration's governance and accountability. In a post on X, Charley Boy warned against any arrest or charges brought against the former Anambra governor, emphasizing that such actions would be met with unprecedented resistance. His words, and I read, "There is a report of an attempt of arrest on Peter Obi by Tinubu's government over Peter Obi's consistent refusal to back down on calling Tinubu out towards good governance and accountability. Any arrest or charges against Obi must be met with a resistance as never seen in the history of Nigeria before, and the obedience are ready for it. Tinubu's government must tread with caution not to set this nation on fire with an illegal arrest of His Excellency Peter Obi. We call on Tinubu's government to desist from her evil plans against Peter Obi because Nigeria will not remain the same, end quote. Netizens, however, have reacted to his statement, and other critics have called that this may not be the time for such an inciting statement. Now, Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima declared today that President Bola Tinubu's administration is resolute in its commitment to combat corruption impartially and without any bias. Shettima made this assertion during the second edition of the Chronicle Roundtable in Abuja today, where he also highlighted the government's efforts to address the country's unemployment issue. The event primarily aimed to analyze how Tinubu's administration's economic and social agenda will bring about a transformative impact on Nigeria. Dignitaries present at the gathering included the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, the Special Advisor to the President on Political Matters in the Office of the Vice President, Hakim Baba Ahmed, and the former Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Shamsuddin Usman, amongst others. Now, prominent members of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the President's political party, are currently facing prosecution by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for various corruption charges. The most recent addition to this list is the immediate past Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, who is being prosecuted by the Anti-Graft Agency on 19 counts related to alleged money laundering, breach of trust, and misappropriation of funds amounting to 80.2 billion naira. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we're heading to our news analysis segment and more news stories. Do stay with us. Welcome back. This is still the World News at 6 on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. And time for our news analysis segment. I actually have right here, or rather via the telephone, Barrister Eze Eluche. Barrister Eze Eluche is a political, social and national affairs commentator. And of course, he's here to answer some questions asked to him concerning the stories that I read out on the World News. Barrister, good evening and welcome to the World News at 6.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me on board.
And thank you too for joining us on the World News at 6. Barrister, I want to start off with what Vice President Kashim Shettima said. He has stated categorically and emphatically that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not going to show favoritism towards anyone within his administration who is found culpable. But a lot of critics and netizens feel that that is just a statement made out of protocol, because they refer to the President's Chief of Staff, Gbajabiamila, as well as the Minister of Interior, who have been named or indicted in a couple of financial malfeasance, and that of the Minister of Interior wasn't, he was questioned, but then he has returned to his job. Femi Gbajabiamila's case did not even go for any prosecution. Now, remember the journalist who wrote that story was apprehended. According to him, he said he was kidnapped by unknown persons he suspects are connected to Femi Gbajabiamila. Based on the questions they asked him, they were concerned about his source of that particular story. Do you think what Kashim Shettima says, or what he said today, can actually be believed by Nigerians with the current state of happenings in the country?
Well, the fact is, to even start with, the concept or the belief that the Bola Tinubu government can even tackle corruption is preposterous. It's simply impossible.
But why?
Because
when you see the case of Yahaya Bello, you see the case of Betta Edu, you see other cases that are on the table of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. So why do you believe that it's not possible?
Why I say that is we see monumental corruption going on all around the government. We see the coastal roads that are supposed to cost trillions of naira that was not bidded publicly. So, all those Yahaya Bello and stuff is just for semantics, just for showmanship. The reality is that the quantum of corruption going on in this regime under this government is incredible. That even the basic idea that this government will tackle corruption is, like I said, preposterous. But with regards to favoritism,
yes,
the president himself, Bola Tinubu, came on board by the Emiloka slogan, "It's our turn, it's my turn." So embedded in that slogan of Emiloka is favoritism. He believes that some people, his own turn, his own people, will be guarded or will be safeguarded, will be protected. So it is expected that even if people may be in stride or those in government, several months after she was accused of monumental corruption, better I do is still out there. I mean, just suspended. Is that what you do to somebody who steals money? People in his regime, in his government, who are directly linked to him, even the Benadier Miller fellow, is neck deep in corruption, and nothing has been heard about any case against him. So when people say favoritism, it is embedded in the very fabric of this regime. The way they came into office is rooted in favoritism. So there's anything that they will do with regards to tackling corruption, it certainly will have to lie seriously on favoritism as the pedestal. So I don't think it's what Mr. Shetima said can be totally disregarded because it does not align with facts and realities.
All right, thank you so much, Barrister Ezeluchi. But I want to believe that this administration would not continue to come out and say things that they would not follow through with. That is expectation, actually. So let's go on with this particular reaction from an individual. His name is called Charley Boy, known as Area Father. He put up a tweet on his X account this evening that there is a situation on board whereby there is an alleged attempt to arrest Peter Obi because of his comments or his criticism against President Tinubu's administration. Now, I recall that once the Supreme Court gave its judgment on October 26, 2023, whereby the president was legitimately announced as the winner of the 2023 elections. Afterwards,
this is breaking up.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Afterwards, Peter Obi came out to say that Labour Party or he will be a strong critic of this administration. They will work as an opposition political party. That is one statement. Secondly, Dave Umahi made an inciting statement against Peter Obi recently, where he said that the former presidential candidate was inciting the people of the Southeast against the federal government on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. Now, Peter Obi responded by saying that he does not have time to level himself to that kind of comment made by Dave Umahi. He's all about inclusivity and progress in government. Where is this alleged attempt to arrest him coming from, and why is Charley Boy making such a statement? This is not a time to incite the polity. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, there is no need for such statements. An arrest can be effected if the law enforcement agencies feel that there's any reason for an arrest. They can go ahead and effect it. But if it is based on Peter Obi's condemnation of the coastal road fraud, I mean, then it's unfortunate because all Nigerians, in fact, all right-thinking human beings know that there are basics for giving out contracts. There must be offers, there must be tenders, the people must know even the route of the road. Now, this thing is shrouded in mystery. Nobody, in fact, in the environmental impact assessment, where it was obtained for this project is still in doubt. So, any right-thinking Nigerian who is interested in accountability will condemn the manner that road contract was offered. If that is the reason why the government wants to arrest Mr. Peter, I think they're just. I mean, I don't even believe that they will dare do such because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. You will arrest the whole Nigerians if you do that.
Okay. For him to come out and make such a statement, on understanding how the state of the Nigerian economy, everybody is hanging on a thin thread. Don't you think this is not the time for anybody to make unfounded comments or comments that do not have any bearing? Because using the social media platform and inciting people, asking people to rally around and say they will fight against an alleged arrest, every other political critic or opposition candidate have made statements against this administration. You recall the Imam, you recall Sheikh Gumi as well, the Imam that threatened President Tinubu's wife. Other northern clerics had made treasonable statements against the president. Nothing happened to them. So if Peter Obi is making a statement that possibly resonates with the minds of a lot of Nigerians, why would that comment on an arrest come? Where is all of that coming from?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Would he come up with something like that without any evidence whatsoever?
I mean, it's if they want to arrest based on condemning the coastal road project, then they have to arrest all Nigerians because that road is a scam. I mean, I am saying it. That road project is a scam. Nobody knows what. Even the roads the road is taking is not known. I mean, Mr. Umahi himself came out and said the landmark resort will not be affected, not being affected. You award a contract of trillions of naira to an individual, and it is not openly bidded for.
The landmark beach resorts, it's the waterway that will be affected, which of course is the attractive site of people towards that area, that's location. It's the water, and if you remove that way, if you build on it, then there is nothing attractive about that area. But according to landmark, okay, go ahead.
It just means that Umahi does not even know what he's talking about. Like you rightly said, the landmark beach resort, the major attraction is not the swings or the car park or the food there. It is the beach, the bay area. So when you remove that bay area, you have destroyed that place. The young man who owns that place has to pack up. So I don't think anybody will be going there to look at the road project that will be built there. But the issue is this. If that is the reason why there is this talk of an arrest or whatever, it's just unfortunate. Really, because I don't know. I mean, then they'll arrest the whole Nigeria. But what I know that this government can do, they cannot use that as a source of deflection.
Okay.
To distract Nigerians from the monumental corruption and graft done in this government. Then the issue will not be the arrest of A or B or C. In the interim, they are losing the country dry. So the Nigerians should be aware of this. I mean, this is antics government play regularly all over.
But Barrister Eze, you will recall that Bayo Nanuga has made such an inciting statement just like Dave Umahi. He mentioned that Peter Obi is inciting the people against President Tinubu's government. The same Bayo Nanuga has always referred to obedience as people who do not like peace. He has always made derogatory comments against them. Now, Dave Umahi is supposedly making the same statement. This is not the first time these individuals have been making statements like that. Peter Obi, is not the only person who has severely criticized this administration. Atiku Abubakar has also criticized, even some APC members. Recently, Dangote even made a statement in regards to that. He said because the decisions that were made by Tinubu's administration when he came on board immediately is what affected a lot of things, which is the floating of the naira. So why would whatever comment Peter Obi makes be something that would allegedly lead to his arrest? And if at all that is something that is being contemplated, why now, considering how things are terribly?
We are giving credence to rumors. I mean, there's no, let them arrest. Then we'll talk about the arrest. That's what I'm saying.
We're saying that for that to be out in the first place, there's no grounds for it. There's no legal proportion for it. There's no legal standing for it to even come out in the first place. So where is that information coming from? For somebody like Charley Boy to put that on X and rally people around concerning something like that, understanding the intricacy or the sensitivity of the nation at this moment.
Oh, I mean, my own belief is that Charley Boy can say whatever he wants to say, and if the government wants to let them go ahead and arrest, but it will be ridiculous, and there will be a backlash from the public if an arrest is expected on that. Like, they should be ready to arrest all Nigerians if that is the reason for an arrest. Because it's ridiculous. A scam is a scam. The Coastal Road project is a monumental scam. Let them come and arrest. Well, they'll be tired of arresting. And there will be no sales in the space, in the sales in the field. Well, I don't think they will even go that direction. So I think it's just one of those cycles which we should not be giving currency to.
Okay.
That's my view.
All right. Barrister Eze Oluchi, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time to help give us perspective on some of the topics on the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you. And now let's move on to the foreign news. Israeli officials are increasingly concerned that the International Criminal Court is planning to seek arrest warrants for their top military and political leaders on suspicion of war crimes. The UN's top criminal court, the ICC, has been investigating Israel's action in the occupied territories for the past 3 years, and more recently, the actions of Hamas as well. It has the power to charge and try individuals for the most serious crimes under international law. It has also previously issued arrest warrants for leaders including Russia's Vladimir Putin, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, and Ugandan warlord Joseph Kony. But the fact that he's chosen to make such strident public comments suggests that behind the scenes, such a scenario is being actively discussed. While the ICC has not confirmed the Israeli claims, when Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan Casey visited Israel and the occupied West Bank last December, his message was a clear one. The British barrister toured the sites of Hamas Hamas attacks in Israeli villages close to the Gaza fence, which Hamas-led gunmen bust through on the 7th of October. He also met with political leaders and traveled to Ramallah to speak to the families of Palestinian victims about their experiences in Gaza and the West Bank. He condemned the violence suffered by civilians on both sides and promised to investigate the matter. Still on the world news, in the early afternoon of the 29th of November, several Palestinian boys descended on their street in the occupied bank. However, as part of an investigation into the conduct of Israel's security forces in the West Bank, which has been under military occupation for more than half a century, there have been pieced together information on what happened to children that were killed. The evidence found has prompted a particular UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights and Counterterrorism to say the death of those children appeared to be a war crime. The Israeli Defense Forces said the circumstances of the death were under review, but said live fire is used only in order to remove immediate threats or for arrest purposes following arrest protocols after exhausting other options. And now to wrap up the world news at 6, here again are the top stories. Police arrest alleged mastermind behind Abuja Kaduna train attack. Military court martials 2 officers over Kaduna bombing. ASU begins indefinite strike. Peter Obi fires back as Minister of Works Umahi. Charley boy raises alarm over alleged attempt by Tinubu's government to arrest Peter Obi. And Vice President Shettima vows no favoritism in fighting corruption. That's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening and thank you for listening.